Kingdom
Live.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. It's Mahomes' house. Burrow hit my ass. You gotta fight for your right to party.
Let's go.
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. That means it's time for Chiefs Kingdom Live. Got a really good show. Glad everybody's here with us tonight. If you haven't already, click like, click subscribe, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your bartender, tell them to tell a friend and family member. Help spread the word. We sure appreciate it. Got a lot of good topics to talk about tonight. Got Chris Jones mini drama. I don't know if you want to call it that. We'll get into that more here in a minute. Got rings, which is something the Bengals don't know nothing about. But they're talking again. We'll talk about all that. We'll talk about this week's CKL poll. And towards the end, we'll talk about rewriting a little Chiefs history, maybe. See where that gets us to. But once again, thanks again for joining us here. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Nick?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just enjoying the summer and just doing things with the kids, getting outside. I love June. It's the longest days of the year, right? So just living life, man. How about you, Bo? How are you doing?
I am doing great. It was a beautiful summer day here in Kentucky, about 80 degrees out. There were 2 clouds. You could count them, 2 clouds out. So, I mean, not clear skies, but damn near perfect day. No, I'm great. Great to see you guys. Great to be here hanging out with you guys. Great to see everybody in the chat. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into this. Scott, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm doing real good. Is it summer yet?
Feels like it.
Spring has been awesome.
Yeah.
Cool in the evenings, warm during the day, but not blazing hot. I know our good friend Brenda's down there on the Gulf Coast. It's blazing hot down there right now, but enjoying it before the dog days get here, right? That's what they call the dog days of summer, when you start getting those 90s, triple-digit heat waves coming through. Brutal. So, some Chiefs news heating up as we get closer to training camp here. The first mandatory workouts mini camp started this week. Some notable absences, probably most notable Chris Jones, who I don't know if I'm going to say there's a contract dispute or a contract problem. I don't know what the right term to use is, but he was not there at mandatory minicamp, kind of setting some alarm bells off for some folks. We'll just go around the horn here. I'd be interested to see what everybody in the chat thinks about this. Nick, what do you think maybe this is all about here with Chris Jones?
Yeah, I think he's looking for new contracts. I don't think he was super stoked that we let Frank Clark sign with the Broncos, but I mean, they'll work it out. They always work it out, right? It's I don't like not going to mandatory team stuff. He still is under contract, so I don't like that personally, but he has leverage because he's, like you said, Scott, the Patrick Mahomes of the defense, right? I'm sure he's just exercising his leverage. You've seen some players do that this year, most notably Lamar Jackson, and him requesting a trade and kind of twisting the Ravens' arm into getting a big contract. So we'll just see how it goes. I mean, it's not like a 5-alarm fire or anything, but definitely not the greatest news to have happen right now. So,
Oh.
No, yeah, actually, hearing all the good news coming out of the mandatory mini camp, it sucks that this is one of the things that's bad news coming out, right? I just, from what I've read, I don't know that it's like Nick saying, I don't know if it's a 5-alarm fire. I don't think it's crazy bad. Everything I've read is it's just more about contract length. I think Chris Jones wants something more in the long haul, and the Chiefs are kind of more like, you're at the prime. I hear the numbers are great, like just up there with like Aaron Donald's, or just a little bit south of it. that contract. So you're talking upwards of $30 million, right? I think it's somewhere like 27, 28. Just casual guy on the internet reading articles, but again, I don't think it's anything to worry about. I just think they're just kind of dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, and trying to make everybody happy in both camps. Essentially, that's my take. What about you? What are you seeing from this?
Yeah, that $25 to $30 million a year range was kind of what Frank Clark was making. They let him go. I know Nick mentioned maybe Stone Cold's a little upset about letting Frank Clark walk, especially seeing him go to the division rival. But with all the additions the Chiefs made on the defensive line through free agency and the draft, I mean, they spent the first round pick on a defensive end. They brought the guy in from the 49ers. He's a defensive lineman, Charles Omenihu, which is it's almost like they forgot about that signing at this point. It was so long ago now, so early in the free agency period. They've got George Karlaftis, who's in year 2. I don't know how loaded they are on defensive line, but I just think it was like musical chairs maybe, and Frank Clark didn't have a chair left to sit in. You can only have so many players on the roster. Gets really dicey. Do you want to keep 5 receivers or 6 receivers? Do you want to keep 3 running backs and a fullback, or just 3 running backs, or maybe a 4th running back? I mean, quarterbacks you're going to have on the roster. There's a lot of work and decisions, tough decisions that go into that. So I hope Chris isn't too upset with the Chiefs for letting Frank Clark go. It'd be great to just keep everybody, but that's just not reality. So
right.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen him really put out anything that is really hateful or spiteful that would give me the idea that him and the Chiefs are miles apart on a deal. I don't know how flexible the Chiefs can be right now with the cap, with the other players they got. They're still signing draft picks. Patrick Mahomes' number is going up every year. So there's some obstacles and some hurdles. I don't know that, like I said, there was one post that Chris Jones put on, I think it was his Instagram. It was like clocks ticking with the little sand, the hourglass emojis on there. That could just be like seasons coming up, training camps coming up. It was a little cryptic. It didn't really say exactly what was at the heart of the post. I try not to read too much into those things, trying to read other people's thoughts and minds and emotions. Pretty tough to do, so I stay out of that business. But yeah, that was kind of the thought process behind this week's poll. Definitely not 5-alarm fire. You see also Jerick McKinnon. It was not at this mandatory minicamp. He just re-signed with the Chiefs, I should say. Some of these veteran guys, they try to get out as much of this off-season work as they can. Really more beneficial for the younger guys learning the system. You also seen Aaron Rodgers, right, get an ankle injury in one of these off-season workouts. So if you're Chris Jones, even if you're thinking a deal is going to get done, you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to jeopardize your health or anything like that can hurt your position in negotiations. I don't think there's bad blood there between the two. I'm still pretty sure that a deal is going to get done. Nick, I mean, you think the Chiefs and Chris Jones are still on good terms here?
Yeah, I don't have any reason to believe that they're not. I just think that it's a business deal, right? And I mean, this was the thing the first time. I think we had fans when you and I went to the season ticket holder training camp deal, Scott. Fans were giving him a hard time about, holding out and if he was going to hold out and all that stuff. And so, I mean, I don't think that there's anything, bad brewing there, but it's just like I said, when there's mandatory things, I think you're a leader of the team, you're the leader of the defense. I think you should show up personally. That's me. I understand the reasons not to. I mean, I'm not judging him overly harshly about it, right? He still, made the plays that won us the AFC Championship game last year. So, but I'm just, it just would have been nice to see him there. That's all. So,
for sure. Bo, yeah, I mean, you think there's any love lost, any bad blood between the two sides right now, or not?
Yeah, no, man, not at all. We have a great video on YouTube. It's one of our highlight videos. You can go check it out on our channel where we talk about Chris Jones' contract. This was last season, right? And we're like, whatever it is, you pay that man his money, right? So we're all in agreement that that's there. I'm fairly certain the front offices and most fans are too, right? That guy is such an integral part of our team, as Nick was alluding to. The AFC Championship game last year, he kept Jimmy Garoppolo on his toes in the first Super Bowl victory. So, I mean, he's worth it. There's just so much of these contracts. I feel like I said, you just got to dot all the I's and T's as far as incentives go, all this, right? And like it wouldn't put it past me for him to, like he didn't get Frank Clark. He's not getting a lot of the stuff that he wants or that he's asking for. So, I mean, I could see him kind of just putting his foot down on some things, being like, no, I want this, and this, and just contract negotiation stuff, right? So it's more on his agent more so than it's on him. But yeah, no love lost between the organization and Chris Jones. Like they love him, we love him, fans love him. He loves being a Chief, you can tell. Yeah, sure. I don't sense any bad blood at all.
No, and I mean we've, like you mentioned, Bo, that's a good point. This has been coming for over a year now. At this point, people have been talking about it. He sent a tweet out. I can't remember if it was after the season or if it was during the season last year about he's never going to wear another jersey. He's never going to play for another team. I think it was maybe one of these long-time guys for another team signed somewhere else. So maybe it was the Lamar Jackson news and drama that was going on between him and Baltimore that brought out that tweet from him. So, yeah, I'm not worried about it. One of the funny things about that deal, too, was like, there's people online that were saying the Chiefs are being cheap, or what are you waiting for? Quit stalling. It's like, you can't just pay every single person whatever they want and keep everybody. There's a salary cap. There's a certain limit to number of people you can have on the team. You got to divvy it up amongst positions, kind of like I mentioned a minute ago. It's funny. Fans are getting upset and acting like Chiefs are doing Chris Jones wrong and they're being cheap or they're being lazy. Look, I guarantee you the Chiefs are not cheap. Okay, they paid Patrick Mahomes $500 million. So,
do they have to pay Patrick Mahomes, arguably the best quarterback in the league? They have to pay Travis Kelce, arguably the best tight end in the league, right? They have to pay Chris Jones, arguably he's the first guy since Aaron Donald to be mentioned as like a top defensive player in like the past 5-6 years, right? Like you got to pay him. There's just so many guys you got to pay, and at the end of the day, you can't pay all the best guys on one team. It's just that's why they have the cap. I mean, it's even things out for all the teams, right? So
yeah, for sure. Looks like Big Doug's remembering the same thing I was here. He's talking about CJ wanting to finish his career with KC. Good to see Big Doug join the show tonight. I don't want to get too personal with people, but he got some good health news today, so Big Doug is doing good.
Hey-o, congrats.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You want to bring the poll up, Nick? So this week's poll, it sounded like some people were freaking out on Twitter. There was people that were, you were saying not a 5-alarm fire, but there was people that kind of sounded like that. People get a little hypersensitive on social media and Twitter. So
no way.
I put this week's CKL poll out. I just wanted to gauge where everybody was at, kind of put my finger on the pulse of Chiefs Kingdom with regard to this Chris Jones mandatory minicamp absence. Options you can see there on your screen. Very worried, somewhat worried, not worried at all. That's what, 2-1 favorite there.
Yeah.
Chiefs Kingdom, not worried at all. I think all three of us are in that camp. Nick, you have any worries at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look, he's great, but even if things were to fall apart, he's still under contract. He has tremendous trade value. We can get a lot for him. It wouldn't totally derail the team. As long as we have Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes is happy, I'm not going to be super worried about a lot, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about this. In Veach we trust. I think the Chiefs have a lot of other things they need to do to restructure if they're going to make this deal happen too, because I think that when I saw as of right now, they're in like the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they have under the cap as opposed to in the millions. Now they do have, I think I saw upwards of like $30 million that they can free up if they need to. So, maybe they're working on what other deals they need to restructure, who do they need to basically pay cash bonuses to, stretch it out so that they can make this deal happen. But I'm not worried.
Bo, worried at all?
Yeah, no, I was one of the not worried at all guys. Obviously, I mean, not to beat a dead horse here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the people who even voted maybe somewhat worried. Like a lot of the worry is just the hesitation, right? You just don't want a disgruntled defense, right? Because it's always been one of our Achilles heels, one of the parts of our team that you're just kind of like, man, if
No doubt.
we just had a solid defense, right? And so when your main guy on your line, like the guy that everybody worries about, is hesitant or like just taking this long, I just feel like you just don't want a disgruntled Chris Jones on your team, right? You want a happy Chris Jones. You want him with the other guys, getting their morale boosted, getting them as happy as he is. I feel like that's what everybody's kind of worried about. But correct me if I'm wrong, though.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. People have a little fear of the unknown. There's always going to be a little bit of worry until the deal gets done. I don't remember. Patrick Mahomes, his extension got done so far in advance that there was no real, obviously concern or worry about like a Lamar Jackson situation with him. So I'm trying to think back to the last player maybe I was worried about. Hell, I wasn't worried about Tyreek Hill either, though. And then in the span of about 12 hours, he was off the team. So,
right.
I mean, yeah, I think I'm in that 2% possibility that Chris Jones could get sideways and not be on the team now. I'll disagree with Nick a little bit here, though. If something were to get sour with him and he were to hold out or not be on the team this year, I would be worried about our chances. I know Patrick Mahomes is, what do they say? It's the straw that stirs the drink. He's the man. He's the MVP. But Chris Jones, he didn't get nearly as many votes as he should have last year, but he's a defensive player of the year candidate in the NFL. That guy, he runs the defense. That defensive line, if he were to hold out or not play for whatever reason, I'd be pretty worried about the defense. I'm not going to lie. I know it's team sport, but come on. We've mentioned it before. Nick, you referenced it earlier. He's the Patrick Mahomes of the defense. They need to get a deal done. They need Chris Jones. Absolutely. 100%. I'd almost say I think that still it sounds silly to say now because Tyreek Hill left and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but I think he's more important to the team than Tyreek was before Tyreek left.
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
I know,
but
this is forever on the internet. You know that, Scott, right?
What's that?
So this is going to be on the internet forever, and you know that, right?
Yeah, no, I know. I don't. And maybe Tyreek Hill should have been in that conversation for Offensive Player of the Year at some point. But, I remember when the Chiefs brought Frank Clark in, they gave up 2 first-round picks, gave him a big money contract. And they said, this is a guy who we feel like can be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, which is why they gave up as much as they did for him. That's what you got now. So you got to figure out a way to get it done. You got to figure out a way to make Chris happy. I think that's going to happen. So I'm not losing any sleep over it whatsoever.
Dude, we've said it so much, dude. Imagine Patrick Mahomes with a great defense. I feel like Chris Jones on your defense is like the building blocks to a great defense. And so it's just like, keep that guy, please. He's such a game changer. I mean, when you get 2 guys on an offensive line dedicated to one defensive player, you have the advantage, right? Like defensively, you're just already they're a man down. So pay that guy his money, please.
Good to
Chris
see
Jones,
y'all.
if you are watching, we still will offer to pay for your blue check. I noticed you still do not have that, sir.
Right.
We will gladly get you that blue check if you're
Absolutely
still wanting it.
Be happy to. Always got to do is, I think he changed the deal. Honestly, it was if he came on our show and told us what he said to Matt Ryan in that Colts game, I told him I would personally pay for his blue check for a year. And then we upped it to as long as you're on the team. And then I think it was just, we'll pay for it, Chris. Just say hi to us, but get a shout out. That'd be good enough. It's good to see our girl Race Cars in the chat here. Good to see you.
Hey-o.
Her Vikings got rid of Dalvin Cook. That was an interesting move.
Right?
Nuts.
Be interested to see what Race Car thinks about that. If you want to put that down in the comments. I was looking at the schedule. I'm excited to go to that game. This will be fun. I'm looking forward to that, no doubt. But yeah,
where do you guys think he goes? Dalvin
Cook. Some team that's willing to overpay for running back. I don't know who that would be at this point. Cowboys are always good for that move. Who else? Although they got Pollard, but Zeke's gone, right? So, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe a contending team that's got caps. That's the tough part, right? Like if you want to go to a contender, I think his motivation in signing a deal is money more so than a ring. I think there was a statement from him or his agent that he was looking for, a significant contract now that he's a free agent. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Was he not getting paid that well in Minnesota? Because I mean, I feel like you're on that team getting paid whatever he's getting paid. I'm not gonna act like I know it, but great team. But I mean, there's obviously just something missing, right? Like, wouldn't you want to go to a team for a ring if you're gonna leave that team?
I don't know. They cut him though, so I don't know if it was like he threatened to hold out if you don't trade me or cut. I don't know what. I don't think they were in cap trouble, so I knew that there was talks about maybe that he would be traded, but when they just up and out released him, I was pretty surprised.
Got nothing for him.
Got nothing.
What's up,
man, John C. is in the house. Good to see you, John. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so get it done. Get Chris Jones. Keep the man happy. Get him in there. I think even if he doesn't get something done by training camp, I'm pretty sure you see him in training camp getting ready for the season. I just think he's that kind of guy. But I have faith the deal will be done by that point. So some other news that's maybe not as fiery or as hot as the Chris Jones news, but Super Bowl rings tomorrow.
Hey-o.
Were you guys surprised that didn't – usually the design of the ring leaks out ahead of the players getting the ring and the ceremony and everything. They have the stadium and they send them out to players. I didn't see anything about rings. Did you? I saw the Chiefs tweet today about something about you like rings with a question mark and then it said tomorrow.
I can't remember where I saw it. Sky Moore posted it, had like a video following or a camera crew following him around. He posted a video of the company that makes the rings. God, the name's blanking on me right now. But they were sizing the ring, so they had like a cast. It wasn't the Chiefs ring; it was just a silver cast. But I mean, it's still as big as a Super Bowl ring. That's the only image I saw of a Super Bowl ring by any means is Sky Moore getting sized for his. But no, I was pretty shocked that image didn't get leaked at all. I remember seeing the Chiefs' first one a couple days before. But I guess this one's under lock and key, and the employees of the jewelry companies, same, right? They had to sign NDAs and whatnot. So
yeah,
supposed to get threatened with legal trouble. You don't say much,
right? Yeah, Nick, were you a little bit surprised that the ring design didn't get leaked out ahead of time like normal?
Yeah, they should get those people to work in our government or something. I mean, you can't even keep like classified stuff from the government from the public eye, but you can keep the Super Bowl rings. So. No, it's impressive and it's exciting, right? One of the big questions I saw was the last couple, right? They've had like the detachable top where you can they had like the stadium in there, and are they going to have Arrowhead Stadium on the inside of the ring? And it'll be fun. I mean, seeing the Super Bowl ring was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the last Super Bowl. It's like we talked about. You have the whole bevy of content that comes out and the off season, and now I think we may talk about this Mahomes Netflix thing upcoming. You get all these like new looks at cool. So,
I think we're got a little bit of an internet issue with Nick, so I don't know if he's back or if he can smooth it out. But we got pretty much most of what you said.
It's gonna smash everything with a hatchet.
There you go.
Got that one loud and clear.
There you go. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. No, I just, like I said, usually you see the ring design the week of, maybe, 8 or 10 days or something before the rings come out. They kept that under wraps. They didn't let that cat out of the bag. So looking forward to seeing that tomorrow. Second ring for Patrick Mahomes and company.
You think it's going to be a competitor for, what is it, like carrot count by weight or something? Like that's one of the records. I think the Rams took it when they made their ring. They have the most carrots in there.
Yeah, that's like the one upper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I mean, we got to get in there and do it now. I thought the last Super Bowl ring was really cool looking. The way they did the KC with the red stones in there, it wasn't super gaudy like a lot of these things are. So
I'm ready for Gotti. I'm ready for like something Travis Kelce to just like wear in his WWE premiere, right? Just like, whoa, what is that thing?
Like, don't look directly at the ring,
like an infinity stone or something, right? Like an actual infinity stone, the red one.
You gotta get some of those solar eclipse glasses that they hand out to look at the ring without damaging your retina. But it looks like we got Nick back. Hopefully his internet situation here is straight. You think?
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, what do you think about the ring itself? You think they have like the stadium thing in there? You think they go that route? Do you think? Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like what kind of features, anything wild and crazy you think might be on there?
No, I don't know. They had like the scores inscribed on the inside last time. So one of the things that I really loved about the last design was like the rubies, right? I think that was like a really nice look. Like the Rams Super Bowl ring that they had, I thought was pretty plain. It was kind of, I mean, it had a lot of diamonds, and diamonds are cool, but there's not a lot of color there, right? So I hope they have a little bit more like a dynamic look to it, right? I hope like I think that one really stuck out to me, is like that was a slick looking ring, and our side note, our uncle's a jeweler, and he actually worked on one of those. Somebody brought it in to have it, something done to it, and he sent it. So he sends me and Scott a picture. He's like, "Oh, check this out." And he's also worked on a Hall of Fame ring and stuff. He's seen some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I just hope they keep that up. I hope they got some rubies in there. And but other than that, I really don't know, man. I'm not that creative.
If I had to guess, I would imagine.
What would you put on there if you could put some crazy? I mean, if you were designing the ring, what kind of wild, crazy design or stat, or maybe like throw some shade at the Broncos of the division or something? What would you do?
I like the idea of like detachable pieces or like a multi-part ring, though. But like I wouldn't put it past them to. Yeah, right. I wouldn't put it past them to have a couple red stones, maybe some yellow diamonds in there, right? Get some red and yellow in there.
That look good.
As much as I'd like to see, the gaudy, as Big Doug saying here, belt buckle type ring. I could imagine them going a little bit more classy, something like formal, sleek looking, right, and not competing for that carrot count. But I'm anxious to see it. I think it's cool. I think it just solidifies the moment, kind of brings up, like Super Bowl memories again. Just like, yeah, we're champions, baby.
Oh, yeah.
It feels good to celebrate again. So,
although I will say, like having that detachable thing on top, like if I had one of those, it would make me nervous as shit that you would like lose the top of your Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How often do you think you wear that out though? I mean, when you first get it, probably a lot though, right?
Man, Bo, you don't know me. I would lose it in my house.
Right.
Like I would just look and it would be gone in the case.
Yeah. You brought up the Rams Super Bowl ring. Remember when that came out and they left there was only one Lombardi trophy on the ring. They didn't recognize the championship, the Super Bowl championship from St. Louis. I remember that was a little bizarre.
Odd.
Like throwing some shade at St. Louis for not building a stadium. I was strange. Ring's going to look good with 3 trophies on it. I know that. That's going to be dope. So, look for that tomorrow. Speaking of rings, a team that knows nothing about rings, the Cincinnati Bengals. They just can't learn their lesson. Even when one of their guys kind of does the right thing, one of the other guys goes out and shoots his mouth off. We all remember the Burrow head from last year and the 3-1 and all the nonsense that they talked. There was an interview with Joe Burrow, and they said something about, what are your goals? What are you working on? He says, I'm just trying to become the best quarterback in the world. And they said, well, so you're not. Who would you say is the best? He goes, well, it's pretty obvious right now. It's Pat. Right now, he's the best quarterback in the world. Can't argue with Joe there. Classy thing to say. I don't know how much Joe Burrow really appreciates probably the bulletin board material and the trash talk. I never heard Joe Burrow call it Burrowhead, right? That was a lot of the other guys on the team. But then someone asked old push-off Jamar Chase about it, and he says, oh, yeah, it's definitely Joe. No doubt, MVP. And they said, Joe said it was Pat. And Jamar Chase couldn't help himself, and he says, Pat who? And here we are. We're not even to training camp, and these dudes are trash talking. Do I think it was the most disrespectful thing ever? No. Do I think it's the best bulletin board material ever? No. But it gets around to the Chiefs, and that's their rival right now. The Bengals have surpassed the Bills, right? And the AFC is the main competition. I mean, they've gone to back-to-back AFC championship games, 1-1. What do you think about A, Joe Burrow calling Pat the best quarterback in the world, and then B, Jamar Chase opening mouth and inserting foot and saying Pat who? Bo?
Well, all right. A, Joe Burrow must have caught one of our shows and must have been one of those viewers that drops off after 30 seconds when Travis Kelce yells, know your role, shut your mouth, you jabroni, it's Mahomes' house, right?
Yeah.
No, a classy move by him, right? But I just love it. Just classic banter. I couldn't agree more that this is one of the better rivalries in the NFL right now. I love their idea that they think that they're up on us somehow when we have 2 Super Bowl victories in the last decade and they have 0. Not sure how they are thinking that they're up in any fashion. I like it, dude. Just give our guys another reason to just play with more aggression when we play you guys, right? I love it. But they hear it all. They know what you guys are saying. So when our team has no reason to be that guy, they're giving us a reason. So I like it. Nick, what do you think?
It's funny, Joe Burrow, I've never really heard him say anything
right. Yeah.
At all. It's everybody kind of around him, right? So it's funny. I mean, it was funny the way he said it, and Pat who, and ha 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 ha, it was like, why are you calling Joe Burrow the MVP? He didn't win the MVP. It was like when Tyreek went to the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, oh well, 2 is more accurate. You got to talk up your guy. I get it. You got to talk up your guy. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to talk shit to Bengals fans. It's fun to see them talk shit back, right? It's a rivalry, But unfortunately for the Bengals, at least Jamar Chase, I think I got to tell him that beating us in the AFC Championship game, that's probably going to be the highlight of your career, man. You're going to tell your kids that, but that's probably the and that's in the past. So good luck going forward, man.
Yeah, you'd be sitting there in the rocking chair with
Patrick
Chase
Mahomes.
the third, bouncing him on his knees. I tell you about the time we beat the Chiefs and Arrow had to go to the Super Bowl, and then we got our ass kicked by the Rams.
Oh, really, Grandpa? What happened in that Super Bowl? I beat Patrick Mahomes to go to the Super Bowl.
We lost to the Rams, who didn't even make the playoffs the next year. That's what happened in that Super Bowl. So, yeah, no, I think it's fun. I didn't take offense to it. I doubt that there's any of the players that really give a crap, but they take note of this stuff and they listen to it. And so, anything the Chiefs can find for motivation play that. They played it last year. You saw it in the championship game and the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs felt disrespected, legitimately disrespected by the media, by a lot of these fans, by players on the Bengals calling him Burrow head. What was it? Travis Kelce said, next time you talk about the Chiefs, put some respect on our name after the Super Bowl. They feel it, man. Like they do. And it's real. And so, yeah, anything they can do to find that extra motivation, get that chip on your shoulder, it's a good thing. We've seen Mahomes do it with the finger counting when they played Lamar Jackson when he got NFL #1 in the NFL 100 a few years ago. And then you saw it in the Bears game when they played Mitch Trubisky and he just completely went scorched earth on the Bears and was doing the counting thing. Like, really, you picked that guy #1 overall over me? That was a bad mistake. Shout out to my good friend Dan. I don't think he watches the show, but he's a Bears fan. He was in town. He's from the 505 out there in Albuquerque. And I think he's going to make it out here for a Bears game at Arrowhead this fall. And he was talking about Mahomes. And he goes, man, it just makes me like physically ill when I see him accomplishing all this shit. Knowing that he could have been on our team. Yeah,
We went through Dan Marino. We know.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Watching other teams draft quarterbacks in the first round, and I remember I wanted the Chiefs to draft Aaron Rodgers in that draft, and they didn't do it in that first round. So, but again, for every one guy that gets picked like Patrick Mahomes in the first round, there's 5 or 6 Mitchell Trubisky's. It's hard. You never know what's going to happen with these draft picks and how they're going to pan out. Just thankful our guys got it right. And, yeah, maybe a little extra motivation for that. What is it? That Chiefs-Bengals game this year is what? Week 16? Second to last game at Arrowhead?
Super late. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. What else you guys want to talk about? Nick, you got something?
Did you guys see the Netflix trailer for the quarterback thing?
I did see that. You sent that to me.
Dude, how did they keep that clip? I'm talking about things not leaking. How did they keep that clip of him saying like I'm like that after that Tampa play? I've never seen that. It seems like nobody ever saw that or heard that until that. But dude, that was like some funny shit right there. It's like he just like makes that play. He's like, yeah, I'm like that. Like, I don't know. Are you guys excited to watch that? Or are you gonna watch it?
No, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. I don't know if you guys watched the Netflix documentary Full Swing that followed golfers around. It seems like it's the same producer. I could be wrong. Same producer and crew that did that, and they did an excellent job with that, just profiling players and their trials and tribulations at the time, right? They would do individual players and showcase tournaments, each individual tournament of a season. Seems like similar, almost like Hard Knocks-esque, but more like on the personal side, right, of just the quarterbacks. I think Kirk Cousins was in that preview too, if I'm correct. Marcus Mariota is in there too. But no, from that crew or just Netflix alone, they put out really good stuff. So I'm really curious to see what they were able to capture. And as far as like leaking stuff, there's a lot of audio I'm sure the NFL has that they don't get out. Like nobody still knows
Very
what Chris
true.
Jones said
Yeah.
to Matt Ryan. And there's 100 mics pointed on that field.
Right. But how many microphones are out of control or aren't owned by the NFL down there on those sidelines? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Yeah, Nick, that's funny you say that because you sent me that trailer and I watched it. I don't have Netflix, so I don't know if I'll watch it or not. I might go over to Nick's house there and check it out. But yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I heard him say that there towards the end of the trailer. I was like, I never heard that little bit of audio
Right.
from the play. Sick play, by the way. Again, just seeing him do the spin move. I instantly thought about Chris Collinsworth, talking about him who looks like the dad out there in the yard playing football with all the kids. It's like, you're not supposed to be able to do this on an NFL field. So, interesting choice of other guys to put on there with Patrick Mahomes, Marcus Mariota. Never really had a whole lot of success in the NFL other than catching a pass from himself for a touchdown in a playoff game against the Chiefs. Outside of that,
for that one.
Yeah, I was there for that one too. I don't know outside of that what he's really done. Kirk Cousins, what would you guys put Kirk Cousins at? In the league average quarterback, slightly above average?
Well, he's above average.
It's hard to say because he plays so bad in big games. He's got eye-popping stats, and
that's what I was about to say. His stats say he's a great quarterback, but like his uncanny ability to choke under pressure kind of supersedes that. So I don't know.
Well,
they might add average. I don't know.
They screwed up. They really had a good branding opportunity they missed out on. They should have called it the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Patrick's just light years ahead of those two guys. I don't know how they didn't get a Jalen Hurts or a Joe Burrow or a Josh. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like an odd even.
I think they probably did that on purpose, though, right? Once they got Mahomes, they're probably like, all right, we're gold. And they're like, oh, what would be great is if we also had like a mid tier and then like a barely on a roster type guy. I don't know.
Some guy on the way out. Some guy who's never really been in.
Yeah. Can you imagine when they like went to Mariota and they're like, hey, we need a guy that like isn't good enough to be a starter and is struggling and is probably not going to be in the league in a couple of years. Are you okay with being that?
I doubt that's the way the Netflix folks.
Yeah, you can tell I'm not in sales, right?
Marcus Mariota.
I don't know if it's just the three of them, but that's the only three I saw in the trailer that I can remember off the top of my head.
Right. Yeah, no, those are the only three that they showed. So I don't know if they've got some more guys that they didn't highlight in the preview. But, when they went to Marcus Mariota and said, hey, we'd like to follow you around. We're following around Patrick Mahomes and for this documentary. His response was probably like,
Kirk Cousins,
really? You feel like you're picking me too? And the guy lost his job to Desmond Ridder, right? Isn't that the guy's name in Atlanta last year that took over for Mariota towards the end of the year? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I stopped paying attention to the Falcons a while ago.
Pretty sure that's the guy's name because they went out and the Falcons are doing that old Chiefs program. You go out and you get all these good weapons and then you just ignore the quarterback. But we'll see what they do coming up. I put out on little Chiefs news here, and then we'll get to maybe some other NFL news or sports news. But I put a tweet out. I got to thinking about Chiefs history, and what triggered it was I was actually watching TV over the weekend, and Back to the Future was on, and I got to thinking about those are great movies, man. One of the very few what do they call it, sequels where there's more than one, right? Where like number 2 and number 3 were as good or just almost as good as the first one. Great movies. I know Big Doug is a big Back to the Future fan, but I kind of got to thinking about if you could go back in time and change the outcome, reverse the outcome of one Chiefs play, like what play would you pick? I put it out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter account. If you haven't checked us out there, go check us out at Chiefs Kingdom Live. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, all the socials with that handle. Got some interesting replies. I just want to talk about a few of maybe the more popular ones, get what you guys think about it, and then we'll go through and then we'll each give our pick. Now, this is assuming, what do they call this? This is like there's rules for time travel. This isn't going to interrupt the space-time continuum or anything, so you don't have to worry about, well, if this player would have done this or if we would have won this game, then we wouldn't have been in this position to lose this game to move up and get Patrick Mahomes. Just assume that everything would have just gone the way it's gone since then. There's no butterfly effect going on here.
I did love all the responses. We're like, nothing. I wouldn't change anything. We have Patrick Mahomes. Everything is fine.
Like they're worried he's going to go away at the answer the question.
Right. I was like, well, pick a play after we got Patrick Mahomes.
I want him to be erased from my Polaroid, okay? Right. I got a Polaroid of Patrick Mahomes. We change anything, he starts disappearing. I don't want that to happen.
His arms like ghosting out, disappearing on the old man, the old Polaroid.
The Superman
being
play,
young.
his arm starts disappearing.
I remember being a kid and seeing people that had the Polaroid camera and thinking, man, those people are rich. You know, like, because we had the old camera where you had to roll the little film thing up and take it to the 24-hour photo
35
place.
millimeter.
Yeah, and get your pictures developed. But getting a little off topic here, I digress. I'm not gonna say obvious. The most popular choice was the D Ford offsides in the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. Not a bad choice.
Right, for good,
especially if you were
reason.
not wanting to interrupt the universe there and the balance with Patrick Mahomes. Thinking back to that play, just what feeling, what thoughts, where were you at when you watched it? Just what comes to mind when you think about the D Ford offsides that cost us the Super Bowl? Nick?
Yeah, it was like I knew what it felt like for the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl for about 2 seconds, and I saw the flag, and I instantly knew that it was not going to happen. So it was like
Right.
the best feeling in the world. It must have been how the Bills felt in the 13-second game.
Right, dude.
Like
Yeah,
just the best feeling in the
analogy.
world, followed by just the worst feeling in the world. Because it was just after that, it was just like, all right, overtime, and all right, touchdown, game over, season over. Didn't happen. It was pretty crushing. So that's one that I picked. But since that's kind of the popular one, I went back and I said a second one would be the Priest Holmes fumble in the no punt game on that big long run that he had, because that put us really on the wrong side of scoring, right? And so we ended up losing that game. So I think that if Priest Holmes would have not fumbled the ball there, we probably could have won that game. And we had a fire team that year, so maybe we wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. But I was also at that game with Scotty, and that was talk about a crushing loss. That was the year we started 9-0, and then we ended up going 13-3 and one and done in the playoffs. So those would be the two that I brought up. What about you, Bo?
Yeah, man, that Frank Clark play. I didn't even see the flags. I was too busy celebrating. I had thought we had did it. I thought we'd beat Tom Brady. I was just like, oh my God, it's going to be inarguable. We have the best quarterback ever. Like, he beat the GOAT. And turn around, people are pointing at the TV, and I'm like, what? And just, soul crushing, just feeling so defeated. I didn't pick that play, though. I mean, it was a good one. That was such a great question. You got such great feedback on that question. By the way, I think over 100 people responded. Man, that was awesome. I was like reading the comments, like, oh, all right, oh, whoa, all right, well done, all right. Anyway, I myself though picked the now infamous Super Bowl 54 play or 50, whatever, the one
55.
against the 55 against the Bucks.
Yeah,
the Superman throw, right? I put on there, if Darrell Williams catches that ball for a touchdown, it wouldn't even change the outcome of the game. We probably still don't win that game. But that play goes down as the greatest play in NFL history, right? Like, that is just such an improbable throw, and like to hit the guy right in the face. I'm still baffled that he didn't catch that ball, but that was my thing. So those two plays, they're in there. Scott, what was your play that you would change, man? I don't think I saw your comment on it.
So this goes to show you how much of I don't know if pessimist is the right word to use or not, but when we got the interception in the championship game, Charvarius Ward, I believe, is the one that got the interception on the tipped pass. Like, my eyes instantly went to the bottom of the little ticker, the score and everything's out, just waiting for the flag thing to pop up. And I saw it pop yellow. I wasn't jumping up and down. I was not celebrating. I just
Scott knew.
I just knew, man. I just this is too good to be true. This can't be happening. And sure enough, I see the little yellow flag thing pop up. And everybody that I'm watching the game with is like you, Bo. They're jumping up and down and they're cheering and I'm like, do I break it to them, or do I just wait for them to find out on their own? I don't want to crush everybody's soul here, but yeah, that was definitely the most popular choice. I had a hard time picking between two plays. The first one, and this kind of goes back to when I was a younger kid. This wouldn't have sent us to the Super Bowl necessarily, but the incomplete pass to Tony Gonzalez in the end zone against the Broncos in that 1997 playoff game.
Oh, yeah.
At Arrowhead, where they call him out of bounds, and you can clearly see on the replay that his feet are in bounds. It was a touchdown, but they didn't have instant replay at that point. So there was nothing you could do about it. I remember actually driving. I was with my high school sweetheart and her family on vacation. And we were driving back across the Hoover Dam when that game ended and we lost. And this is
angry Scott.
So I'm like 15, right? And so I started watching the Chiefs with the family, with my mom and dad when I was a little kid, right?
Right.
But that was really like the 90s, because I was born in 82. So in 1990, 1991, we started getting these defenses, and we've got Derek Thomas, DT, number 58, and Neil Smith, and the best defense in the league. And it's against the Broncos. And really, like, that's when I started kind of falling in love with and becoming like a crazy fan of the Chiefs, right? And I just remember being so distraught. And my girlfriend's grandpa was like trying to cheer me up. And I'm like, there's literally nothing you're going to say that's going to make me feel better right now, man. Just stop talking to me, right? But yeah, and again, there's no guarantee. But the Broncos go on to win the Super Bowl. They beat us by 4 points in that game. We kick a field goal. We talk about butterfly effect. Things change based on situations and what happened. But I feel like Chiefs win that game if they get that touchdown, or at least tie, right? Or you go to overtime. Broncos win a Super Bowl that year. That was just like an all-time gut punch for me as a blossoming Chiefs fan. That, or just kind of goes back to the similar thing of being a young Chiefs fan. And it took a long time for someone to bring this play up. And I was surprised at how long it took, really. But Joe Montana getting concussion, getting knocked out of that AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I just remember being as upset, or if not more, maybe in that play. Because, look, you could argue maybe you beat the Broncos, but the Chiefs offense, they struggled. That was I know Big Doug brought up the Elvis Gerback over Rich Gannon. That was that Broncos game. Maybe the Chiefs go on and win the Super Bowl that year, but I'm convinced if you got Joe Montana, you win that championship game and go to that. I mean, it's Joe Montana. The guy's going to win the game, right? Joe doesn't lose those games. He just doesn't.
Comeback kid, baby. Like he was primed and set up. Yeah, that was a heartbreaking loss for that run.
We all three of us watched that game together.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
At Bo's house back in old Rio Rancho back in the day. I believe mom and dad were out of town for my dad had a business trip or something. And so we were over there watching the game with them. And so, yeah, I would probably pick one of those two, probably Joe Montana. I would probably reverse Joe getting knocked out of the championship game. It just would have meant
it's a good
not
one.
that going to these last few Super Bowls hasn't meant a lot, but just at that age and growing up and being a Chiefs fan, and just that was like the beginning of the heartache, right? Like you're like learning what you're getting into as a Chiefs fan. Little did I know that it would take 20 years for us to actually get to the promised land, but
to win another playoff game.
Yeah, just win a playoff game.
It took us over 20 years to win another playoff
22
game.
years when we won a playoff game with Alex Smith, right?
Yeah. The Houston Texans whipped up on them. What was that game? 35-0, I think.
I remember when Alex Smith, when we won that playoff game, I went out and immediately bought lotto tickets. I was just like, no way. We won a playoff game. No way.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what everybody in the chat, what play they would like to go back and reverse. Nick, you talked about the fumble, Priest Holmes fumble in that no punt game, but
Tony G
there was
push off
also
too, right?
a lame ass offensive pass interference call on Tony Gonzalez that killed a drive in that game.
You know what I just thought of? I'm sorry. Keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, I was just saying you could switch a couple of outcomes, and it would have to beat Peyton Manning in that playoff game would have just been epic, and to beat the Colts. Yeah. But that team did not have a championship defense. No, that was Greg Robinson. That was all offense. The Chiefs were 13-3, started 9-0. Defense couldn't stop anybody. They could not stop anybody, as evidenced by the fact that the Colts never had to punt in that game.
Wasn't that the year that they beat the Bears, though? I mean, we probably would have played Rex Grossman.
Yeah, that wasn't the championship game, though. That was the divisional round game. So
yeah,
they still would have to. Who'd they have to play in the AFC? I don't know if they get past the AFC championship game with that defense. Would have been tough. I'm not saying they couldn't have outscored the opponent, but that defense was, I mean, almost probably as bad.
You're looking back at it and you're playing against Peyton Manning. You're like, yeah, you're going to need one of the best defenses of all time to stop that guy.
And then
I remember being depressed about that game for like a month.
Yeah, I was upset leaving that game. No doubt about that. But Bo, I'll let you bring your point up here in just a second. But going back to that game, and when I saw you bring up those points about the Priest Holmes fumble and the Tony Gonzalez, I remember the Dante Hall kickoff return for the touchdown. And I just remember like how raucous Arrowhead was when that play happened. And I was so sure at that point that we were going to come back and win that game. Like I was 100% convinced that was the turning point. We were going to come back. The Chiefs made it a game. I was just so sure we were going to win. And yeah, we didn't. That was it.
One of the plays I had thought about that I kind of just now thought of it. I think it was we were playing the Broncos like 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, we still won the game, but I just remember Mahomes threw just a wild like 60-yard pass to Tyreek in the end zone, right? And him and the DB at the time both go up, ball bobbles in the ground. They both come down. Ball bounces off of Tyreek's chest and he catches it, right? And they rolled an incomplete pass. And everybody just jogs off the sideline, and like Andy Reid doesn't get anything in his ear or nobody, and they just punt the ball right back, right? And
with like 20 seconds on the clock too, right?
Oh man, I just thought of that play. I remember being that was one of like the last times like I yelled at my TV, just like what the fuck? They're showing the replay. It's a touchdown. Like, how is nobody in the booth calling this? And
an honorable mention for me was the forward progress call in that Titans playoff game, where DJ just rocked Marcus Mariota and fumbled the ball, and we picked it up, and he said it was like the worst call I've ever seen in a game. But that was an honorable mention for me. So, chat, you guys got anything? Any plays that stick out that we didn't mention, or that we did mention?
Another good one that someone brought up on Twitter was the bullshit holding call against the Steelers on the 2-point conversion in that playoff game at Arrowhead, where we basically tie the game and James Harrison did the old just falls down on the ground to trick the referee into calling a holding penalty. And of course the idiot referee fell for it. That was the infamous Travis Kelce locker room rant about the officials, and so they should never be able to dress up, wear the zebra uniform. They shouldn't be allowed to work at a fucking Foot Locker. So funny.
Carl Sheffers, right? That was a Carl Sheffers game.
Yeah, that was Carl Sheffers. Yeah, that's where it all started.
It was. And those post-game comments probably cost Travis Kelce about 10 pass interference. There you go. Probably cost Travis Kelce about 10 pass interference calls against him over the course of his career. No calls. Getting on the refs like that, but trying to think of what other plays. People brought up some really good plays, and
we got Frank Clark here in the chat.
The Jamal Charles fumble against the Broncos that lost us the division, and then the Broncos ended up going and winning the
Right.
Super Bowl that year.
Right? Yeah, that was week 1 too of the season,
Yeah.
as I recall. And yeah, that game ended up being the difference in the two teams. So I remember when Jamal Charles went to the Broncos after his time was over in Kansas City. People were like, I knew it. It was an inside job. He did it on purpose. Lost that game for us.
Yeah. Another one. Someone brought up Lynn Elliott's missed field goal, right? Or field goals, or Jan
Any of them?
Stenerud's. Yeah, Jan Stenerud's in the missed field goals in the longest game ever, right?
NFL
John
history.
V. John V. You want to post yours? You had a favorite Chiefs play that you wish would have turned a different way, if I remember correctly.
I lulled at his comment.
Yeah, John V. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining.
John B. What's up, man?
That was interesting going back to that. That was a Christmas Day game too, right? The longest game in NFL history was against the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
Jan Stenerud,
Mongolia, Minnesota.
Mongolia, Minnesota. I didn't know there was a Minnesota in Mongolia.
Is that?
So that comes from someone put a picture that somebody took of a guy wearing a San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl 54 champions hat.
Oh.
And it says, apparently the 49ers did win Super Bowl 54 if you live in Mongolia. And so, they send the losing team's gear to other countries to get rid of it. So I tagged our good friend John V in the reply to the tweet that somebody put out. It said, don't show this to our guy John V. He'll be packing up the family and be headed to Mongolia. So, yeah, that's funny. Good to see you, John. Congrats, John V, on tying the knot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lucky lady, man. That's a lucky gal right there. John V, the ladies love John V. There's no doubt about that. So he's off the market. Sorry to break girls' hearts out there nationwide, especially there, the 49er faithful. But, yeah, that'd be interesting going back, like you said, like the longest game in NFL history against the Dolphins, win that game. There's a lot of people that say that was the best Chiefs team of that era too, that lost that game. That team was better than the team that won Super Bowl 4 and lost the Super Bowl 1 to the Green Bay Packers. Lynn Elliott missed field goals. John
69 through like 74 Dolphins, though. That was like, wasn't that the greasy era? And like just when they were unstoppable, wasn't that the undefeated season for them somewhere in the 72?
Was it?
Yeah, I thought it was 72.
I'm not sure if it was that team or not. Someone could probably look that up. But John C., our man John C.'s going back. Remembers watching that game. Was that the
it was the Christmas Day game.
that would have been even better to ruin their perfect season. Even more reason to go back in time and reverse that call. Another play that would have been nice to reverse was the AFC Championship game 2 years ago, where I don't know if you call it a drop or not. It would have been a tough catch, but Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek.
Ball bounces off of him or whatever and gets intercepted in overtime. Bengals go down, kick field goal. If he catches that ball, I want to say they were probably already in field goal range or right there on the edge of field goal range. Maybe the Chiefs go to what would that have been, like 4 straight Super Bowls at that point?
Yeah.
Got John V's got a funny story here about hot sauce. I don't know if we want to throw that up here or not. But,
sorry, Nick.
Our good friend John, which everybody watching now knows, John V, king of Ohio Niners fans. Him and his buddies Tony and Nick are the hosts of Locker Room Rant here on YouTube. You need to go give them a subscription and watch their show on Tuesday nights if you're not already. Ton of fun, super good dudes too, super cool guys. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know that I'm going to be making any hot sauce bets. I feel like I was on the right side of history with that bet already. No sense ruining a good thing. Quit while you're ahead, right? But yeah, it was just a nice stroll. I don't know if I'm going to say a nice stroll down memory lane of the Chiefs and all of the pain and frustrations and heartache and
all the bad.
Go on for years about plays that should have been, right?
Right. What could have been the one that got away or whatever you want to call it. So, but yeah, I'm going Joe Montana getting knocked out of that championship game against the Bills because the Bills embarrassed themselves against the Cowboys that year in the Super Bowl. So, would have been nice to go up and test the Chiefs' mettle against the Cowboys and their dynasty with Joe Montana.
Man,
people
awesome.
say he's the GOAT. I don't know what else. Is anything you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about maybe some NBA Finals or?
Congrats!
Yeah, shout out to the Nuggies, right?
Yeah.
Winning.
Yep. Yeah. Christian Braun, member of Chiefs Kingdom, I'm sure, from Hutchinson, Kansas, played at Blue Valley High School here in, I think, Blue Valley Northwest High School to be precise. NBA Finals champion. Miami was they just didn't have enough for the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, he was Finals MVP, and then I also saw a stat that he's the first player in NBA history to lead all players in scoring, rebounds, and assists for a single postseason.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Pretty amazing stat there. You think about some of the names of guys that have played in the NBA: LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Kareem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, you're talking some names
MJ.
now.
But in the end, he was just happy that he got to go home.
No, he doesn't get to go home till Friday, man. He's still here.
He said he gave one of the all-time great post-game question answers. When asked how it felt to be an NBA champion, he said, "No, I'm just glad the job is done, and now we can go home." Like, okay, well, thanks for playing, man. Talk about a guy that's just like, I have a feeling he's just a guy that happens to be the best basketball player in the world, right? Like,
and he's being forced to play by his government or something, right? He just looks like he hates.
He's like, well, I guess I'll play since I'm the best in the world.
Did you see his interview where he's like, well, nobody likes their job. Maybe they do. They're lying. It's like,
right. And sometimes you lose sight of that too. It's a job.
Did you see their celebration victory or their celebration video where they're all celebrating in the locker room after their victory? I mean, everybody's wearing, like snowboarding goggles and stuff.
Yeah.
They spray champagne because they're expecting to get sprayed in the eyes and stuff. Somebody hands him a bottle and he just sits there. He's, yeah, all right, here we go. Right. Just like, you just won. You just won the championship.
The NBA season, though, is so long, right? Like they play 82 games?
Yeah.
So they play 82 games, and then they have 16 teams in the postseason, and they play all those series, right? So I mean, I think I would see that in that sport, by the time you get to the end of the championship, you're like, holy shit, it's finally over, right? I mean, it would seem like it seems like their playoffs take. I mean, how long do the NBA playoffs last? 2-3 months?
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah, John C. He lives out there in Nuggets country. They did blow through everybody, and you know what? I know everybody loves the underdog. I know everybody loves the Cinderella. I know our friend Laney always roots for the underdog. But this is what happens when the underdog makes it past like the first round, right? You get you see it in the NCAA championship or the NCAA tournament, college basketball tournament. It's cool when you see the 14 or the 15 win the first game or two, but you see these teams make the Elite Eight or the Final Four, Cinderellas, and they're just way over their head. Right, they're just way out over their skis, and then you just get a terrible Final Four game or a terrible NBA Finals where I mean, the Miami Heat, they weren't really even all that competitive. I mean, it's for stretches of some of the games they were competitive, and they somehow pulled out that Game 2 win in Denver. But really, it wasn't close. It was not really an exciting finals. There was not a lot of drama. There was no Game 6 or Game 7. It was over in 5 games. None of the games were really all that close either. Yeah, I like underdogs. I like the Cinderellas. I just don't like when they make it too far because that usually means you're going to get a crappy championship game or series at the end.
It's so ho-hum, but my neighbor was a Heat fan, and I could hear him every single night just, God damn it, just hating life, right?
I mean, could you really even be that upset, though? You should just be happy they made it that far at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, if you're a diehard fan, right, you want to see your team do well. But yeah. It's enjoyable to listen to.
Vegas Knights, NHL champions.
Oh yeah.
Took out the Florida Panthers. This is what, their 3rd year in the league?
I believe so. Yeah. Second or third. Yeah.
Relatively new team. Patrick Mahomes, you need to get the Coyotes to Kansas City. You need to figure out a way to make that happen.
Yep.
We missed our opportunity to go see them play when we were in Vegas, too. Can't believe it. We just completely spaced it.
I didn't think to look at their schedule.
Me neither. Yeah.
I was laying I was just laying in the bed at the hotel room, just kind of chilling after a late night, and I hear the foghorn going off.
Yeah.
The T-Mobile Arena. It was right outside my window there. And I look over and I can see all the people out on the balcony in their Knights gear. And I was like, oh, I should have gone to the Knights game. Man.
I think hockey has some ridiculously long schedule too, like 80-something games.
They play 82 games. Yeah, I think it's the same.
Oh, 82 as well as basketball?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's the same as basketball. Talk about a grueling season for hockey, man. Like all that skating and checking and hitting and losing teeth. And I mean, there's guys they get the shit beat out of them throughout the course.
Well, I guess we can go check out a game next year when we're in Vegas for the Super Bowl, right? Like that's when hockey will be starting, as we're ending our championship run for the year.
Yep. Yeah, there's people talking about this is like the destiny, right? It's because it's Super Bowl 58, Derek Thomas's number. Games being played in Arrowhead West out there in Las Vegas. I don't even think I want to look and see what rooms are going for in Vegas around the Super Bowl.
Oh man!
I mean, you talk about Super Bowl cities jacking the rates up and being expensive enough as it is. You imagine what things are going to cost at the Super Bowls in Las Vegas.
I remember the cheapest thing at the Super Bowl in Arizona was like a $9 pack of M&Ms. Like I can't imagine like that same pack of M&Ms in Vegas is gonna be like $26.
Right.
I remember your guys is
already $9.
It was like $13 or something. And I was just like, what? You're charging $13 for flavored water? Flavored rain?
Yeah, Vegas is not a cheap place to go, but it's a lot of fun. Always have a good time going out there. I don't know. Is there anything anybody in the comments got a subject they want to bring up or talk about, or you guys got anything else?
Yeah, I'm there. I think
I'm good.
Yeah, my beer's there. It's done.
Beer's not done. Well, I mean that means it's time for the show to be over. So,
yeah.
Appreciate everybody who joined us.
Ooh.
Been a lot of fun.
Jennifer Hedden has a question. Who is D-Hop signing with?
Here we go.
Jennifer, welcome to the show. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, good to see you. Let's see here. D-Hop. Were some people talking around that the hang up on the Chris Jones situation is they got to figure out a way to make the numbers work so that they can backload his new contract to have enough money to afford D-Hop. That's a rumor that's going around Chiefs Twitter. Don't know how accurate that rumor is.
And I base this on nothing.
I based this on the internet.
Yeah, hey, I didn't come up with the rumor. I didn't start the rumor. I'm just spreading the rumor. So There was also some people on NFL Twitter saying that the Patriots are extremely hopeful or feel confident that they can have D-Hop sign with them because he's visiting New England this week.
I thought he wanted to win, though.
Right.
Right. Why would you go play in New England?
Mac Jones or Patrick Mahomes? Mac Jones or Patrick Mahomes? That's kind of a no-brainer there. So,
did I hear he was visiting Kansas, though? He visited New England and Kansas this week?
I did not see that he visited Kansas City. I'm sure they've been in talks to him. I'm sure he's on their radar. Yeah, John, I know some people said Titans, but then he left Tennessee with no deal. So there's people that are speculating. Right. I mean, he's not going to go to the Titans. Titans should have just kept A.J. Brown if that's what they wanted to do. Dumb move. Guy got fired, so. Right. Yeah, John brings up D-Hop having some character issues. I'm a little bit leery. We're seeing it right now with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, right?
Malcontent.
These guys, they're all good when things are going good, but then things don't necessarily go their way, or they don't win, or they don't get what they want, and now they're a little bit of a malcontent and a little bit of an issue. And we talked about Chris Jones being absent from mandatory minicamp. I don't say that to infer that he's being a malcontent, but Stephon Diggs isn't happy in Buffalo now, and him and Josh Allen were, tight as tight could get, and they were brothers,
best friends, man.
And now they've got a soul-crushing loss to the Chiefs in the divisional round 2 years ago. Then got just absolutely waxed by the Bengals at home last year in the playoffs. He's not showing up now. The coach is saying he's worried. Looks like there's a little trouble in paradise there. I don't think you have to worry about D-Hop being an issue, though, in Kansas City because the Chiefs win. So I don't know, though. I do worry about that. These guys that won out of wherever they're at, it's kind of like when you meet someone in your relationship, or they're messing around on their husband or their significant other with you, and you kind of expect them to be different with you, and then it doesn't always turn out that way. Usually isn't. I don't know. Nick, you have an idea of where maybe D-Hop signs? You think it's with the Chiefs?
I don't think we'll be able to pay enough money, to be honest. Or we won't pay enough money. Like, you look at all the wide receivers that we have that we're bringing into camp, like we're not even going to be able to keep all of them. So I don't know. I feel like we're set with wide receivers, to be honest. We just need one of the guys we brought in outside of the dudes that we've already had on the team to hit with one of those, and have 1,000-yard season. We're going to be killer. John C brought up, did you guys see Juju's still having some knee issues? That's a bummer to hear, man. I was hoping for good things for him. He played a good role for us last year, and he got a contract, so good thoughts going his way. But no, I mean, I don't think the Chiefs will make it happen with D-Hop. But I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. What do you think, Bo? You think we're going to sign him?
Dude, as much as I agree with you, like I'm like 90% in the same boat. I just can't help but think, like, all right, D-Hop, Kadarius Toney, Travis Kelce, Sky Moore. That's who you're gonna put out there on your. I like that. How that sounds, dude. I mean, that sounds great to me. The dude's just so good, right? He's consecutive 1,000-yard producer. I feel like, to address like some of like the drama issues, like this, winning can change everything. It's a different culture here. You saw it when the Patriots were on their dynasty. People would go there that were drama and turn around, and just when you win, man, you don't have a lot to complain about. There's not a lot of drama to be made. Case in point, look at the Joker, Kadarius Toney, right? Like, he was dramatic on the Giants, always hurt, and like, yeah, I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt, but like, I didn't see any drama issues from him or like personality issues from him when he came here. Like, he just seemed like, all right, here we go, let's do this, and they did it. And now he seems like he's ready to rip and roar and ready to go for this next year. So I don't see the Chiefs, like Nick was saying, I don't think we have enough room for them. But I've been saying it all along. I think we're making plans for something. Nick mentioned at the top of the hour too. We have like 30 million in cap space. I mean, that's a lot of money to go after.
Well,
somebody.
we'd have to free that up, right? So
right. But I mean, it's there if they wanted it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
It could even be more. It could be
cool.
50. I was just kind of throwing out a arbitrary number. I knew it was big, so.
Right. We'll see.
Yeah, it's just so hard to say like who he's going to sign with. But getting back to the Stephon Diggs thing, man, that dude disappears in big games and then wants to complain and be a malcontent that the team loses. You're not doing shit, bro. Like, remember that AFC Championship game? He had one catch against the Chiefs in that game, and he stood there with his hands on his hips, watching the Chiefs celebrate, going to the Super Bowl, and we'll be back next year. He had I think he had like one more catch in the game the following year. I mean, that's what you stayed out on the field to watch the celebration for, was to come back. And I think this one catch too was like a 2-point conversion, or maybe he had 2 catches, and one of them was for the 2-point conversion. He had like 1 or 2 catches for 3 or 4 yards or something. Maybe show up in big games and the team will win more, dude. I don't know. People say, well, Josh Allen this. Well, Josh Allen, I mean, I'm pretty sure if he was open, Josh Allen would throw the ball to Stephon Diggs, right? I don't know.
The people be like, oh, he was double teamed. Like, yeah, tell that Travis Kelce, man. Like, he still gets open.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you don't think I mean, Juju's a fine receiver, don't get me wrong. And MVS had an okay year last year, balled out in the AFC Championship game. But you don't think the Eagles' whole game plan going into that Super Bowl was like, stop Travis Kelce at all costs? Dude, lit him up. So, play better, man. Get open. Catch some touchdowns in the playoffs, and maybe you'd be playing in the Super Bowl. I don't know, man. I just don't. I never liked Stephon Diggs, kind of the way he forced his way out of Minnesota. And I'm always leery of these guys that kind of force their way out of somewhere and go somewhere else, because as soon as stuff don't go their way, now they're going to be your headache, not somebody else's headache. So, but that's a good question, Jennifer. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great one.
Welcome to the show. I apologize if you've been in there before. I just don't recognize you. But, yeah, had a lot of fun doing the show tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We're getting closer and closer to the season. Seems like there's Chiefs news popping up all the time. Maybe we'll go over some, maybe do like a recap of mini camps. Maybe we'll talk about the Chiefs ring next week. We'll know what it looks like. If you haven't clicked like, haven't clicked subscribe, go ahead and do that for us. We would be forever indebted to you and forever grateful. And until next week, let's go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs.